Hello, humans, and welcome to the Outer Realms, the video game podcast where we talk about the outer realms of reality, conspiracy theory, hauntings, and the other mysteries across the internet. With that said, let's get ready for the show. On today's episode... Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Will video games be regulated like alcohol and cigarettes? Do you think they'll be taxed like them? This is the Outer Realms, where we explore the outer realms of the video game industry. We talk about conspiracy theory sometimes about the supernatural, video game ideas that we have, but this could be a cruel reality for many in the near future. And let me tell you, some might say that I'm spreading a conspiracy theory here, but I am not. I believe that video games will be more regulated in the future, and let me tell you why. Right now, there's a wave of growing lawsuits targeting the video game industry. There's lawsuits out there against Minecraft, Roblox, class action lawsuits, for example, focusing on issues of addiction. Some of these lawyers are claiming that these video game companies are making the games more addictive on purpose. Why is that? Microtransactions, of course. There have been rumors and some evidence that video game companies have done psychological research, particularly targeting teens and children. Now, this is a real problem if they are doing that, right? And this is why these law firms are getting involved. No, not really. They're getting involved because these companies are making billions and they want a slice of that pie. They want a piece of that cake. But let me tell you what, lawsuits are a catalyst. They always have been. Whenever lawsuits occur and somebody wins one, it makes the news. And the news spreads public awareness. Now, as you know, and I know, and everybody else knows, politicians out there, many of them, have been wanting to blame violence on video games, the rising violence here in America. They don't address real issues of crime, poverty, and everything else, right? They don't ever put personal responsibility and good parenting at the forefront. But because of this, the news media could create a wave that politicians could take advantage of. The political climate has been long critical of video games. This has been true ever since the Mortal Kombat days, when we had those examples back in the day with Al Gore and his wife and blaming games for violence and societal decay. While scientific evidence linking video games to violence remains inconclusive, if not non-existing, the narrative in politics still persists. It always has. Particularly against, gamers in general, because it's a growing media. And the attacks have always seemed to come usually by conservative lawmakers, by religious people, but now it's also coming from the left. So coupled with all these concerns and the epidemic of people, according to the lawyers, being addicted to video games, this could really fuel bipartisan support for legislation and regulation. And whenever Congress does regulation, you know what that means: taxes. Taxes, 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 because they need your money to fix a problem that they're going to create here. And it's going to be very similar to those campaigns: anti-smoking campaigns, anti-gambling campaigns, anti-drinking campaigns. As people see video games and video game addiction as a public threat, like cigarettes, alcohol, or anything else. Of course, they don't address parental responsibility. They only go for corporate accountability. And there should be some in both, I think, right? One of the central debates that is emerging in this crisis really is, what is the balance between parental responsibility, right? You're sitting in your house, you're controlling the screen. Your kid doesn't have to be in the screen for 6-8 hours a day or more. Critics from the corporate world argue that parents should monitor the kids limit their children's gaming habits. However, this perspective ignores the sophisticated methods that some game developers are using to keep these kids engaged. You know, game companies allegedly have employed behavioral therapists, psychologists, design systems that maximize the time spent and engaged with microtransactions, loot boxes, game mechanics that exploit cognitive biases in kids and young adults and children, you know. Teenagers, creating a feedback loop that is pretty hard to break. It becomes addictive. And when children are the target audience, these tactics really raise a lot of ethical questions, man, that mirror those that we would see back in the day with tobacco companies, you know, using cartoons to advertise to minors, you know, and stuff like that used to happen back in the 50s and 60s. So I believe, guys, I don't believe that this is just a conspiracy theory. I believe that this is going to be a reality. You know, this is why I'm so happy that I have my physical games, that I have ways of playing games. When you're talking about digital downloads, right, where you're getting rid of physical media, this is not going to be an option for you. You want to play a game, you're going to fall under regulation. What could that regulation be? Could it be time restrictions? Could it be taxes? Of course there are going to be taxes. I see at least a 15% tax, if not or more, because, you know, if they create this kind of regulation, of course you have to pay them to enforce it, which they probably never will, and just use the money for something else. But you know that at some point, if this gets big enough, congressional hearings will come up. Legal cases could really lead to congressional investigations where industry leaders are called in to testify, like, you know, Facebook and TikTok, and, you know, like it's happened before. You're going to get public awareness campaigns, advocacy groups. They're looking for government funding, are going to rise all over the place and try to get media coverage to frame video games as an addiction and a public health crisis, further galvanizing public opinion, calling for more restrictions of video games. And there, of course, over time, there's going to be legislation. Lawmakers can introduce measures such as warning labels, age restrictions, and limitations, you know, like the labels that you see on cigarettes or alcohol, because of their addictive mechanics, if they're able to have it. They're found to have any. Are they going to, you know, separate it between microtransaction games and non-microtransaction games? I don't know, guys. But the one thing I can tell you is that legislation like this is definitely going to lead to the lack of creativity, right? Because you're going to be scared, right? Do I make a really good game? Am I going to get sued, right? Is there going to be a wave of Gen Xers? Because I've been addicted since 1980, right? I should get a crap load of money, man. I should get $1 billion for all the money that I've spent, for all the time that I've wasted, for all the good times that I've had, right? I don't know, guys. This is a slippery slope, but whenever it comes to these issues, politicians and people in general never take accountability. It's never their fault, ever. They have to blame it on somebody else. Are there problems in the video game industry? Of course. Do they fall to this extent? I don't think so. But let me tell you, just to wrap it up here, video games have become the cornerstone of modern entertainment nowadays, right? Their unregulated nature should soon be challenged because they pretty much are unregulated. The combination of legal action, political scrutiny, and public sentiment suggests the future of video games could be regulated like cigarettes or alcohol. This is a debate that's going to come up. This new administration doesn't see video games favorably. As a matter of fact, they consider it, one of the leading causes of violence in youths. My cousin Vinny. Man, it's going to be fun, guys. You know, a lot of times I get these ideas and people thinking, oh man, you're just thinking. I guarantee you within 5 years, maybe less, we're going to start hearing rumblings about this. man, you better hold on to your cartridges. You better hold on to your physical media, because the politicians are coming. But I'll tell you what, they can take my joystick out of my cold, dead hands. All right, humans, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. This is The Outer Realms, the podcast that touches about and talks about the outer realms of the video game industry. The next episode is going to be about something supernatural. Stay tuned. I'll catch you at midnight. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Make sure you hit that like button for me. It really helps. And if you haven't subscribed, do so you never miss an episode of The Outer Realms. Take care.